As kids, the three Samwer brothers dreamed of owning a business together. They didn't know what that business would be, but they knew they wanted to be successful, maybe even the richest men in Europe. Today, it's safe to say that the Samwers have made their dream a reality. This team of German brothers maintains a relatively low profile, but don't let that fool you. They have built dozens of companies and are now worth billions of dollars. In fact, if you're anywhere outside of the US and you shop online, chances are you're buying from one of the companies that they've built. The only problem? Their ideas are stolen. That's right. They've taken some of the most successful companies in the world, Amazon, eBay, Airbnb, and created their own near-identical knockoffs. You see, this is not exactly a story about success. It's about what happens when you blur the line between the legal and illegal, the moral and immoral. This is the story of the Samwer brothers, the most hated entrepreneurs in the world.
I hate the Samwer brothers. I hope they die.
Anytime you meet somebody from the Samwer brothers, you should boo and hiss them. And any of your friends who go to work for them, you should tell them not to go work for them. And if you go work for them, you're selling your soul to the devil.
The ironic thing about this story is that the same Silicon Valley that despises the Samwer brothers is precisely where they get so much of their inspiration. You see, the origins of the Samwer brothers' business empire begins in the United States. Oliver Samwer, the most outspoken of the three, has always been fascinated with American entrepreneurship. In the 1990s, when the tech sector was just beginning to grow in the US, Oliver took a trip to California. During his stay, he interviewed hundreds of Silicon Valley entrepreneurs. The end result was a lengthy thesis full of all the lessons he learned from the experience. He called it America's Most Successful Startups. Later published as a book, it is extremely detailed, showing an attention to detail that is astounding. He even includes sections on CEO lunches and employee breakfasts and sitting in cubicles. But more importantly than the level of detail was the fact that this thesis would become the blueprint for the Samwer brothers' later businesses. And what was Oliver's blueprint? His thesis boiled down to being aggressive, focusing on execution, and being willing to do whatever it takes to succeed. Things like, do not treat your idea like it is a gift from God. Actually, chances are that it is stupid. And we should be very aggressive when it comes to marketing and product development. We should go right up to the edge and maybe you even fall over. And if that sounds intense, then you should know something about Oliver Samwer. He is intense. But I'll talk more about that in a minute. First, let's take a look at what these brothers have built. The Samwer brothers did not invent eBay, but they did invent the first German eBay. You see, in 1999, eBay was just starting to take off in the United States. The Samwer brothers wanted in. They saw an opportunity in the German market and contacted eBay about running a division of the company there, but they never heard back. So, they took matters into their own hands. They decided to build their own local German eBay to prove that the idea was a good one. They called it Zalando. Within months, it grew so big that eBay finally did contact the brothers, and when they did, it was to offer them $43 million for the company. The Samwers sold their creation, and they were finally rich. But what had they really built? If you compare the two companies, they are almost identical. They copied everything. Even the font of the logo looks the same as eBay's. And this is exactly why these brothers are so hated. Again and again, they take an idea that's working in the US, and they turn it around and build their own version in another country. For Zappos, they have Zalando. For Airbnb, they have Wimdu. There's Groupon, and then there's CityDeal. Lazada and Mazado are both Asian knockoffs of Amazon. For Blue Apron, they have Hello Fresh, and the list goes on. They have gotten very rich by copying the best ideas in the world. To be clear, what the Samwer brothers are doing is legal, but that doesn't stop it from feeling a little shady. In pretty much any industry, there are laws that prevent stealing someone else's ideas. Just think about the controversy that ensues when two songs sound just a little too similar. Coldplay, for example, has had to defend itself from multiple accusations of copying, and George Harrison of the Beatles was once found guilty for so much as subconsciously plagiarizing from another artist. What the Samwers do goes much further. It would be like a band taking not just the music of another artist, but everything, right down to the album art. But the Samwers, far from feeling remorseful, are proud of what they have accomplished. They don't try to pretend to be innovators. They're what they call execution entrepreneurs. As Oliver once explained,
"We are builders of companies. Someone else is the architect and we are the builders."
And they claim to be the best at what they do. Let's break down exactly how they do it. The Samwer brothers have perfected the art of taking someone else's idea and bringing it to a new market, and they have built a system around it. It's called Rocket Internet, and it's a fascinating business model. Unlike a traditional venture capital firm, Rocket Internet doesn't go out and look for companies to invest in. They proactively cultivate businesses themselves. In the heart of Berlin, Rocket's facilities are swarming with their own team of consultants and analysts, most of whom have little to no experience of running a company, but who are eager to prove themselves. You see, the brothers recruit high-achieving young business school graduates, typically with a few years of consulting experience from top firms like McKinsey, Accenture, or Deloitte. When the brothers choose a new business to start, or copy, it's these staff members that they assign the launch, management, and running of the business to. Overnight, these green consultants are turned into founders, backed with millions of dollars of investment from Rocket Internet. Rocket Internet takes on the risk of finding the right idea and the right market. They provide all of the funding and train the new founders. In return, Rocket retains an ownership stake in each new company. This can be as high as 80% and 90%, with the remainder split amongst the company's leadership team. This is how the Samwers are able to stay in control of the whole process. Quote, because founders are essentially employees, they only partially set the direction of the business. Major decisions come from above. The whole process is incredibly fast, factory-like. They take a painstakingly long process and condense it down into a few months. Using this blueprint, Oliver and his brothers have created what he calls a galaxy of companies worldwide. But that push for speed comes at a cost. Oliver once said that it wasn't money that motivated him, but winning. And that's easy to believe when you read a statement like this.
I am the most aggressive man on the internet, in the entire world. I will die in order to win, and I expect the same from you.
That email, sent to team leaders with the subject line, when it is time for Blitzkrieg, understandably caused some backlash, and it contained other revealing sentences, including the fact that he would only back his team's plans if they were, quote, signed in blood. Oliver has since apologized for the email, particularly the references to Blitzkrieg, a Nazi war tactic, but according to former employees, that's just who he is, intense. He doesn't have patience for mediocrity. Even the structure of the companies he forms are set up in such a way as to encourage competition. One tactic he uses is to launch the same company, offering exactly the same services, in multiple different countries at the same time. Lazada, for example, was active in Indonesia, Vietnam, and Malaysia. Each country, however, is run by different leadership teams. Far from collaborating with each other, the structure is intended to encourage a sense of competition, pitting each team against each other to see who will perform and earn the best. Such is Oliver's sense of competition that he's even been known to humiliate employees in public in an attempt to try and get better results. Maybe that ruthlessness and fierce competition is what it takes to become a billionaire, as each of the three brothers are estimated by Forbes to be worth over $1 billion. However, their approach certainly doesn't help the brothers' reputation. Plus, it's not clear that their tactics are working for Rocket Internet as well as they once did either. In June 2022, Rocket Internet announced it was downsizing, laying off more than a third of the company. Today, Rocket Internet has fallen from a valuation of $8 billion down to $3 billion. While their portfolio of imitation companies includes some big successes, there have been many flops as well. If things keep going this way, the Samwer brothers may need to come up with a new idea, but then again, they could just copy someone else's.